training and assessment system. Sir is a management consultant, facilitator, coach, and a successful entrepreneur. Sir is considered among the finest talent, especially in the area of experiential learning, and is known for connecting instantly and communicating impactfully. His 19 years of work experience has helped him to research extensively on cracking the success code of high achievers and the impact of human behavior on business outcomes.
I'm here to tell you that 40% of the Fortune 500 companies will be out of business by 2023. Are you getting what I'm saying? Huh? In the next 2-3 years, you'll be able to scan your environment in the Indian business scale and say, ऐसे कैसे लोग ऐसे वैसे हो गए और ऐसे वैसे लोग कैसे कैसे हो गए. Yes or no? Right? We are living in times of turbulent change. And after 1 year, you will be, I don't know what's the right word to use, but you will be supplied into this kind of a business scale. And by that time, probably people who are kaise would have already become. And your aspiration of being a part of that company in all is going to. I'm not saying this to scare you. आपको डराने के लिए नहीं बोल रहा हूँ, but I'm just trying to make certain things very, very clear. Okay, whether you're going to start your own company or whether you're going to work for some other company, please understand that 80% of the businesses wind up in first 5 years. How many are left? And 80% of those 20% will wind up in the next 5 years. How many are left? And 80% of that are going to wind up in the next 5 years. How many are left? 1%, 1%, right? So out of 100, one company lives to see the light of the day at the end of 15 years. This is the story so far. But now, this time is going to get crashed even further, alright? Now, I want to start with my personal story, because you need to know. यार पहले आके इतना स्टैट्स दे दिया, ऑलरेडी मेरा बीपी हाई था और भी हाई हो गया. हाँ, इतना फीस देके मैंने इधर एडमिशन लिया. हाँ, and what are you trying to say? I am trying to tell you what the experts are suggesting, that though these are very difficult times, yet this is also considered to be the most exciting times to be alive on this planet. And I'm going to show you how you can look at the future and not be scared and not be fearful. In fact, in this 80 minutes or so which I have, and if you are able to absorb exactly what I'm trying to tell you, you will look at future not with fear, but you will actually get excited about the future. Happy to be here, yes or no?
Yes, sir.
Huh?
Yes, sir.
Alright, I'm going to share 3 things with you. Number 1, I will share with you the law of compensation. How many can understand law of compensation? Law of compensation. Okay. Secondly, what I want to share with you is what determines the speed of change. Alright? There are 2 factors that primarily determine the speed of change. And in this speed of change, it's like a tsunami. You understand what is a tsunami?
Yes.
Tsunami of change. It's not just normal change, it is a tsunami of change. 90% people will get crushed under this tsunami. And some of them are already sitting here. But 10% will ride the wave of this tsunami. Right? And lastly, I want to teach you about the law of reciprocity. If you yourself don't believe that you are Hushiyar, you want the companies to come and hire you next year? You want them to open their mouth and say that you are Hushiyar? And you think they will do that? In fact, I was looking for a response where all of you should have come here, because भले दुनिया माने या ना माने, मैं तो मानता हूँ ना. Yes or no? Yes or no? Huh? So I want 20 people. चलो यार, भी तो फर्क पड़ा, हाँ? All right. आप लोग को स्टेज पे आना होगा, हाँ? But just in a while, okay? Maybe just 2 people come now. Out of the total, only 2 people come. Only 2 people come on the stage now. Yeah. And this is a challenge. I wish I could have done it with everyone because you are a large number of people. सबके साथ मैं नहीं कर सकता, but you'll be able to see what is happening. Okay. याला काय म्हणतात? हाँ? What? हाँ. This is index finger, काय? Index finger. हाँ? फक्त अच्छा मराठी everyone understands ना? Yes or no? Yes. अच्छा. I forgot I'm in Karnataka actually. Okay, index finger. Okay, you have to use your index finger. Okay, and place it below the stick. Okay, the index fingers cannot get like this. It has to be like this. It can't be joined to your partner's. Put your finger like this. Index finger has to be below, not above, and only index finger has to be used. I'll give them some time, okay, according to their need. And what they have to do is 20 people, 10 here and 10 there. अब करना क्या है? ये कांटेक्ट छूटना नहीं चाहिए स्टिक के साथ, और इसको आपको नीचे लेके आना है. किधर? नीचे लेके आना. इतना तक लेके आ जाओगे तो भी काफी है. 6 inches from the stick. Yeah, right. So condition is not even one person should leave contact. If you leave contact, यानी कि I have left my contact with the stick, I need to start all over again. I need to start all over again. So which is, going to be more time consuming. So 2 people will touch the stick now. और ना इसको जबरदस्ती नीचे नहीं करने का, नीचे से ही करने का, हाँ? नीचे से ही कांटेक्ट करना है, बिकॉज ये 7,000 का स्टिक है. सही है, हाँ? 7,000 का स्टिक है एक्चुअली. सो कांटेक्ट फ्रॉम बिलो and everybody maintaining full contact, bring the stick down. Yeah, and if you do it, fantastic. So 1, 2, 3, contact. $7,000 का स्टिक है. ये जबरदस्ती किया आपने. हाँ. Use the no using the thumb. No using the thumb. No using the thumb. That one of the key skills which is required to an exercise like this is the skill of listening. And if I were to probably gauge this experience, there were more leaders and less followers. Yes or no? Yes or no? Yeah. If everybody is a leader, who is a follower? सबको बनना है अन्ना हजारे, तो कौन पीछे कौन चलेगा? केजरीवाल चलेगा तो चल के कहां तक चला देखा ना. All right. Now the point is this. In this changing environment, you will have to open your eyes and ears of understanding. I just start with my personal story. People see me communicating now in a way like this, but probably you will not believe that when I was, in my 11th standard or 12th standard, I could not converse in English very comfortably. I studied in an English medium school, but I just could not have a conversation in English because most of my friends were speaking in Hindi. So my thought was also in Hindi, but I later realized that this is a big fear I have. And if I don't conquer this fear will conquer me. And I prefer to conquer the fear rather than the fear conquering me. And at the age of 27, I started my first entrepreneurial journey, serious entrepreneurial journey. I bought some piece of land, about 40 acres, 1 hour from, or maybe 2 hours from Mumbai and 1 hour from Navi Mumbai. But I come from a middle class family. My mother was a teacher. My father was a journalist. And that's the background that I came up in. And to buy that kind of land, and I'm telling you that I failed in my journey as an entrepreneur with that experience. Okay, I bought this land, developed a part of it, खुद के effort से दापोली जाके, I bought some cashew saplings, some mango saplings. I planted them myself. I took care. I stayed in the village after my MBA in NMIMS, which is one of the top institutes in India, having specialized in HR. I stayed in the village for 2 years, and most of my learnings actually came out of that experience. There are certain things this college will teach you, but there are some other things this college cannot teach you, and that's why we need to go through that university of life. Yeah. And 2 years I stayed in that village, and 2nd of January 2001, I got a call from the person who was managing our farm there, and he called me and he said, "Sir, farm में आग लग गया." farm में? मैं बोला 40 एकड़ है, अपन ने सिर्फ 5 एकड़ डेवलप किया है. So I said, अपन ने जिधर झाड़ लगाया उधर तो नहीं लगा ना? तो बोला सर उधर ही लगा. मैं बोला चल ठीक है, कुछ झाड़ को फर्क पड़ा होगा, लेकिन ज्यादा तो ठीक है ना? तो बोला एक भी झाड़ नहीं बचा. And I was crushed. And I tell you, whenever things go right in your life, whenever things go right in your life, you know what you tend to do? Bone killer? Witch killer. And whenever things go wrong with you, you know what is your response? Guy killer. And I was in that state. My wife was working for a company called as Hughes Telecom. Yeah. And she was doing well, but I was struggling. And I called my wife. I said that there's a fire in the farm. She immediately rushed home because she saw that मेरा जो आवाज में I was very disturbed. And when she came home, I was like tearing my hair, and मेरा हेयर फॉल तभी से चालू किया. इतना मैं गुस्से से सब कुछ कर रहा था. And she said, very, very, surprising. She would never do that in her, normal state. But she said, I think you don't sit in the house. You go out and you get some fresh air. So I had one bike, and that bike was called Samurai. How many of you know Samurai? Suzuki Samurai. There was an ad which used to come, a Japanese guy would sit on the, as a pillion, and say, no problem, no problem, no problem. And I was one kickstart samurai, and I was riding the bike. I was not knowing मैं जाना किधर है. And I was saying, Suzuki Samurai, no problem. और मेरे लाइफ में तो प्रॉब्लम ही प्रॉब्लम. And by some divine providence, I started going to a very high place. एक hill है नवी मुंबई में. It's called as Parsik Hill. In Parsik Hill, it's at a mountain top, and from there you can see the landscape. और मैं एक ऐसे जगह पे पार्क किया जहाँ से from one side I could see the Mumbai side. The other side I could see the Panvel, Mathiran hills. And at that point in time, a voice, I felt an impression, a voice as if suggesting to me, how big is 40 acres? How big is? So I ignored that voice. I said, already apna dimag, high state mein hai, and maybe I'm hearing some voice. But again, after some time, how big is 40 acres? This time I could not resist that voice. This time, the voice said, just show me how big is 40 acres. And I was at that mountain top, I was taking my index finger and I was doing this. Then I realized, from that height, 40 acres is not even half inch by half inch by half inch. And then I heard a voice. The voice was, as long as you see things from your perspective, things will never change for you. It will only become more and more difficult. But when you start seeing things from my perspective, things will be very different for you. Yeah? In fact, I am a believer who believes that when your perspective changes, perspective ला आपण काय म्हणतात मराठीमध्ये? दृष्टिकोन. Correct. When your perspective changes, everything changes. True or true? True or true? In fact, that fire caused me to get into this industry. And till now, I would have trained more than 40,000 people across functions, across levels, across industries, both in India and abroad. And when I look back, I actually thank God for that fire. क्योंकि अगर वो आग नहीं होता था ना, तो आज भी वो लाल डब्बे में घूमते रहता था. But sometimes there are certain events in life which are sent in your direction to shake you so that you start moving in a particular way. But when your perspective changes, everything changes. Some people take a lifetime and still their perspective doesn't change. देखने का नजरिया चेंज नहीं होता, बात करने का ढंग चेंज नहीं होता. Yeah? But when your perspective changes, now just imagine there is a clock on the ceiling. Ceiling मध्ये काय? Clock आहे. कसलं घड्याळ? So with the minute hand, hour hand, like that. Okay? With your right hand, you point at the ceiling and imagine there is a clock. And you turn your finger in a clockwise direction like this and bring it down very slowly and keep looking at the tip of your index finger. Okay, this is what I do, this is what you will have to do. Okay, so clockwise, Bring it down very slowly to the chest level now. Keep looking at the tip of your index finger. I'm going to ask you a question. Keep moving the finger. And as you keep moving the finger, I'm going to ask you a question. Listen to my question. The question is, I hope as you see your finger moving, it is moving in the clockwise direction. Yes or no?
Yes, sir.
Yes or no?
Yes, sir.
Yes? Clockwise? अरे पण तुम्ही क्लॉकवाइज म्हटलं ना मेरे को कंफ्यूज कर रहे हैं कि क्या कर रहे हैं हाँ ओके वन मोर टाइम ऑलराइट इंडेक्स फिंगर clock on the ceiling, clock remains on the ceiling, okay? So clockwise, bring it down very slowly, chest level. I hope your finger is moving in the clockwise direction. Yes or no? Yes or no? एक चमत्कार कैसे हो? Your line of vision change. It's one thing to see things like this. It is entirely another thing to see things like this. Right? Right? And there are a lot of things for which your perspective must change. Because if that doesn't change, your MBA degree will not change things for you. You got to change. Yeah? Yes or no? Happy to be here?
Yes, sir.
You pusar? Okay. I want to share the first thing I came to share here. Yeah? ये सब मेरा introduction था actually. I told you I'll share three things with you. Law of compensation. And the second thing I told you I'll share with you. What is that?
What determines?
Law?
What
What determines the speed of change? And third,
law of reciprocity.
reciprocity. Okay? So, law of compensation. You and I do not get compensated for our time. We get compensated for the value that we bring in a particular time. Getting what I'm saying? Now the question is, you need to understand what is the law of compensation. And this is one of the foundational things you need to understand, that you and I do not get compensated for our time, but the value that we bring in that particular time. And how many of you want that your compensation must rise? I could have, people ask me, PowerPoint आपला हा माझ्याकडे PowerPoint नाही. But every point I make, I will make Ram Jetmalani, if you go to his office, no, there is a timer. मिनट के हिसाब से. So ऐसा, your time starts now. और हर मिनट का मीटर चालू है. टैक्सी का मीटर नहीं है. Thousands just for a minute of his time, and not for fighting the case, but just to get his viewpoint. You getting what I'm saying? See, operating in the same field. But what kind of problem is he solving? Quality, quantity, complexity of problems. How many of you know about a tanker which carries crude? Crude oil? मान लीजिए पैसिफिक ओशन. पैसिफिक ओशन पता है ना आपको? कुठे आला? अरे इथे इच रेखा. हाँ? पैसिफिक ओशन में the owners get a call that अपना टैंकर में से ऑयल लीक हो रहा है. हाँ? ऑयल लीक हो रहा है और ऑयल अपने को सील करना है. Now the owners of the company have to solve this problem. And they find out that there are 3 people in this world, in fact 3 organizations, and those 3 organizations have some very key people who can solve this problem. But one company is twice as expensive than the other 2, but they are considered the best. Who will they call to solve the problem? उसके साथ भाव करेंगे क्या? डबल क्या को लेता है? थोड़ा डिस्काउंट, हाँ? Because the quality of problem that they are solving, the complexity of problem that they are solving is very, very high quality. But yes, if you don't want to solve a very high quality problem, then you should be solving the quantity of problems. For example, McDonald's, अपना 40 रुपए का वड़ा पाव, quality processes, but you do it for large number of people. Yeah. So number 1, the quantity of problems that we are able to solve for. If you want your compensation to rise from today, start looking at the major problems that you can solve. What skills would you require to solve those kinds of problems? You getting what I'm saying? Yeah? Quality, quantity, complexity of problems that we help solve for others. In fact, I used to do a lot of work for Axis Bank, and I was just telling in the car. In fact, in this very city, I run a mastermind group, and if that is the case with the top colleges, then the same would be the case for other MBA colleges too. And probably the reason is because we are not taught the law of compensation. We are only taught how much can we expect. How much can we expect? बेलगांव में कितना, मेट्रो में कितना, क्योंकि इंडिया टुडे में आया था ना, लेसन या इकोनॉमिक टाइम्स में आर्टिकल आया था ना. But we don't get compensated for our time. We get compensated for the value that we bring in a particular time. Number 2, your compensation is dependent on the quality, quantity, and consistency of opportunities that you are able to create for others. Allah laksha. Your compensation actually depends or is determined. It's not about you at all. It is about problems we solve for, opportunities we create for others. And number 3, this is where you may be solving a very good problem. You may be creating a beautiful opportunity for somebody else. But if you don't have the 3rd key, you are stuck. You are stuck. The 3rd key is our ability to articulate. You understand what is articulate? Articulate means? When I am looking, people are avoiding eye contact with me. मेरे से नहीं पूछ रहे. What is articulation? The way I communicate or describe, that is articulate, right? Our compensation depends on the ability that we show in articulating this problem and the opportunity to people. So you really need to work on the way you see the problem. You should be able to see it much bigger than the one who's having the problem. You should be able to describe it much better to a person, to whom you are creating an opportunity, only then will you be able to articulate it to others, right? So law of compensation, you understood, yes or no? We get compensated for our time, yes or no? What do we get compensated for? Number two, I want to share with you, what was that? What determines the speed of change? You tell me, what do you think determines the speed of change? Okay. But either ways, you need to understand that you'll have to transition from academics into the corporate way of life. You know what is the difference? In academics, you got to know so that you can do. Yes or no? But in life, you got to do so that you can. Yeah? There's a big difference. Academics, you got to know so that you can do. But in life, you got to do so that you can know. So the speed of change is determined by knowledge. And it is said that in 6 to 8 months, whatever knowledge this planet has is getting doubled. Can you imagine that? You know what I'm saying? जितना अपने पास knowledge था, वो double हो रहा है 6 से 8 महीने में. Which means there are new things you got to learn. But how will you learn? Unless you do, you won't learn. Yeah? And second thing that will determine the speed of change is technology. What is that? Technology. How many of you have a smartphone? Technology has ensured that from 1981, there were certain things which were available. For example, voice recorder, navigation map. There was something called as a scanner. All these devices. If I were to bring those devices today, it will be at least 4 suitcases, large suitcases would be required. Now all of that is not only that, all those things cumulatively, you understand what is cumulatively? अगर मैं ये खरीदता हूँ, वो खरीदता हूँ, ये सब खरीद के आज के prices पे would have cost me about $900,000. See, the rate at which technology is changing is going to cause a lot of disruption. And those of you who raised your hands saying that you would rather work for some organization, probably the guiding force is you think it is more secure to be in a job than to be in your own business. Yes or no? Yes or no? That security is not going to be there. It's not the fault of your college. It's the current reality of the times. And you will do well. You will do well if you understand that knowledge and technology, both I need to be aware of, so that I can ride this wave of change. Otherwise, I will get crushed under the tsunami of change. Make sense? Yes or no? Okay. Lastly, what I want to share with you is the law of reciprocity. What is law of reciprocity? Reciprocity comes from the word reciprocal. So, indirect, reciprocal. inversely, or in simple terms in the University of Life, if I do this, then you will do correct. Huh? But you need to understand the law of reciprocity, because most of the times we are stuck in our careers because we say, "Pahle tum, baad mein main," and when you get "Pahle tum," and when that person does so much, then you say, "Itne paise mein itna hich milega." The moment you say that, तुम्हारे दिमाग के अंदर एक वायरस घुस गया, and that virus will cause you to get stuck. They say language is the software of the mind. अलग-अलग. Language is the software of the. If I can have a 10-minute conversation with you, one-to-one, I can tell you. कोई खील लगाना पड़ेगा या कौन सा दूसरा? हाँ, वो सब कुछ एक साथ लगाना पड़ेगा शायद. Because these are things which we have acquired, we have heard. Huh? Maybe our parents are saying, कुठली कंपनी मध्ये तू ट्राय करतोय? बँक मध्ये ट्राय कर. अरे बँक एकदम सेफ आहे, secure आहे. He took a coin, one was a 2 rupee coin, the other was a 5 rupee coin, and he would say, "Hey Johnny, choose. And Johnny would go for the larger 2 rupee coin, and every time he did that, the cousins would laugh. This happened 3 times, 4 times, 5 times. His uncle saw this, and then he called Johnny. He said, "Hey, तेरे को समझ में नहीं आ रहा? 2 rupee, 5 rupee. That smaller coin is, larger coin is." Didn't you know, Johnny, if you were to pick up the smaller coin, you could buy twice as many chocolates? Johnny, 5 years old, looked at his uncle and said, "Uncle, I know." Uncle, मला माहित है. But the moment I pick the smaller coin, the game would stop. Now I am nobody to tell you what you must pick. 2 rupee or 5 rupee. But one thing remember, whatever you pick, you must ensure that the game should not stop. The game must go on and on and on. Thank you very much. God bless you.
It is a wonderful 1.5 years time we spent in our life, sir, which is so very valuable. He spoke about very, very elementary and realistic things in life, which we all know, but it's all been covered by dust, I would say. He just removed the dust in a very, very unconventional manner, and we are very, very